In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the brand new accreditation module within Zeus. You can see that I'm logged into London 2012, so we'll use that example for the video. Of course, you could use it for any games. So the first thing we're going to do is click on Games. And under Games to the left, you'll notice the new heading here of accreditation. So we'll click on that. And here we have the new accreditation module. What you're going to notice is a lot of similarities to an Aquabuff. Obviously there's a lot more features and it's a little more advanced than an Aquabuff, but in essence it serves the same sort of purpose. Just puts all of the accreditation needs in one place. So the first thing we need to do is to bring up our list of names, athletes and officials. As you can see right now it says no records to display. In order to view our athletes and officials, we need to choose a selection status. So you can see right now my selection status is not selected. I have two options to choose my selection status. First, I could choose from the drop-down list and select one status. What I'm going to do is select the multi-select tool here to the right, and I'm going to choose long list and selected. And when I click Save, you'll see the page refresh itself. You see the wheel spinning here, and it's going to bring up a list of all of my long listed and selected athletes for London 2012. Athletes and officials, sorry. So here's my list. Now, like I said, it acts much like a Aquabuff. I can make changes to an athlete's or official's function, selection status, etc. We'll look just at each of the features. So we have function, selection status, sport, arrive and depart obviously is related to your travel if you happen to be using that. As you can see, we don't have any travel entered as yet. Next to that, we have the category and designation for London accreditation. Following that, we have access, which is your venue's access. We'll get to that a little later on. And finally, rotation, which is related to the transfer of accreditations. And again, we'll get to that a little bit later on. You'll notice some neat features within this grid. First of all, you can reorder these columns to your desired order. So for example, if I want last name to come before first name, I can click on it and drag it over. You see last names prior to first name. So you can play with the grid until you have it in your desired order. The other thing you can do is change the width of your columns. So you can see if I go right to the edge here, you'll see the arrow, and I can click and drag to resize the column to my desired width. So that's the grid. If you scroll down now to the bottom of the grid, not only can you change the order and the width of your columns, you can also decide exactly which columns you want to appear. So if I click here under Define Columns, you can see here the columns that are currently clicked are the ones that are showing. If I want to unclick them, so for example, if I'm not using travel, I could unclick arrive and depart, and so on. We'll leave them up there for now. Once you have the grid in your desired format with the desired columns and size and order, you can click Save Grid Layout so that it maintains your grid. Bear in mind that this saving your grid layout is only good for as long as you're logged in. As soon as you log out of your Zeus account and come back in, it will go back to the default grid. If we scroll over to the right here, at the bottom we have a few more buttons. The first one you'll notice is Update All. This is essentially your save button. So if you make any changes to the grid, in order to have them saved, you have to click Update All. Next to Update All, we have Graphical Chart. Graphical Chart is related to the rotations. So that's the rotations of the accreditation transfers. We'll get to that later on. Next to that is an important one. This is the Accreditation Submission Report. So when I click this, it's going to pull up the actual report required by LOCOG. So this report is the one that we'll ultimately use to upload into London's accreditation system. And then in the very bottom right corner here we have three buttons, export to Excel, CSV, and Word. that takes whatever you have in the grid and puts it into one of these formats. So that is the grid in a nutshell. Now you'll have noticed above the grid we have the category, code, designation, and access, as well as you can see currently my personal card here, Colin Whitney, is up. So you can edit each of your athletes and officials down here in the grid. You can also work on them one at a time if you so desire by bringing their card up here. Now there's two ways to bring the card up here. You can either drag it and drop it in. So for example, if I wanted to bring, let's find an official. So let me sort by official. Again, the wheels are spinning, and so it will sort my grids to only have officials up here. And there we have all of my list of officials. So let's say that I wanted to bring Al Dillette up into this space here. I can either take Al's name, click, drag, and drop it into here, or what I'll do is I'm going to double click on Al's name. So if I double click, again, the spinning wheel will bring Al's card up into this space. So there's Al Dillette. At this point, you can see there's no photo uploaded, there's no accreditation category, code, or designation, or access. So we can update Al here. The first one we'll update is his category. Now you can see that I've entered the categories here. If you've yet to do this, you would simply click Setup, and that will take you to the game setup where you can add and delete your accreditation categories. So for Al Dillette, we're going to make him, for the time being, an AO. So again, you could drag it and drop it. What we'll do is just double click. So by double clicking AO, we're going to see appear in this blue box Al's new accreditation category. There you have it. So next we're going to choose his code and designation. You can see that I can again play with the widths of the columns up here. Let's make Al a team leader. We'll double click AO team leader. And now we have, in addition to his category, we also have his code and designation. Next to the code and designation over here, again, we have the access rights. So this is Al's access rights to venues. So for example, for London, a certain percentage of your officials will be permitted access to 3 venues. Some will be granted access to all venues. You may have some additional officials, some officials who you've purchased the knife and fork privileges for. So you want to enter whichever are relevant to the particular official you're dealing with. So for Al, let's for now make him a part of swimming. Scroll down a little too far. So I'll double click swimming, and you'll see swimming will appear under Al's access. Okay, so Al's card is almost complete. We would just need to finish add his photo. So this works the same as the photos uploading previously in Zeus. You can either upload it, or if there's one in the system, click latest and it will pull that up for you. So again, this is just a way to work on one athlete or official at a time. You could also make these changes down here similar to an aqua buff by choosing the category from the drop-down, designation from the drop-down, and so on. Next thing I'll talk about, the final thing I'll talk about, is the rotation. Now, rotation is a really handy tool to sort out if you're having your officials transferred, officials accreditation transferred during the games. So for London, they allow up to 50% of your AO accreditations to be transferred, a maximum of 2 times. So this can get a little bit complicated to track. So this tool is really handy to help you visualize exactly when those transfers are taking place and who is transferring their accreditation to who. So let's say we're going to use the example of Al. So Al, we already have Al's card up here, and we're going to transfer Al's accreditation at some point to another official. So for the example of the video, let's use the first official I have here, Algernon Cargo. So what I'm going to do is take Algernon's name, click, I'm going to drag it over to rotation and drop. So now what you see here in the rotation pane is you have Al Delet and Algernon Cargo. So we're going to start by entering the dates for Al. So let's say that Al is going to arrive on July 27th for the opening ceremony, and he's going to be departing London on August 1st. So we enter those dates, and then Algernon will be taking over his accreditation on August 1st through to closing ceremonies on August 8th. So now we have the start and end dates for their accreditations entered, and remember our save button, update all, is the same up here as it is at the bottom. So we'll click update all. While it's refreshing, I'll draw your attention to the number here. Each rotation that you set is going to be assigned a random number. So this rotation between Al and Algernon is set as number 5. So now that that's finished updating, you'll see down here in the rotation column, rotation number 5, Al Delet, his dates of attendance, and then Algernon. Same thing under Algernon's, under Al's, under both officials, you'll have their rotation dates. Now where it becomes really useful is down here at the bottom. As I mentioned previously, we have the graphical chart. So if I click on graphical chart, so what we're going to get under the graphical chart is a visual representation of the accreditation transfer. So you can see the top two that we have here under rotation number 5, Al and Algernon. You have the start and end dates, but in addition to that, you have over here on the right all of the dates that the village is open, and then you see here the dates that Al is using the accreditation card, and then the dates that Algernon is using the accreditation card. So once you enter all of your rotations, it makes it really simple to organize. This is a great tool to use to give to your chef the mission for the pre-DRM and the DRM. The best way to do that is down at the bottom. We have the 3 tools again, export to Excel, export to CSV, or export to Word. So you can export this graphical chart and give it to your chef for the DRM, and it makes things a lot simpler. So that is the new accreditation module.